Hi, I'm Scott Schneider and welcome back to Stereo Niche. This week I want to review something kind of unique from JVC. So come right back. Okay, well let's talk about this little guy. This is model 4VR5445. It's a pretty long model number. So essentially this is a 4-channel model. And this is back during the time when all these different 4-channel platforms were battling it out. And in the end, there were no winners. Consumers were confused essentially and stuck with 2-channel, for the most part. But a lot of interesting 4-channel units were made during this time, and this is one of them. It was not a high-end unit by any means, but still pretty cool. Has some interesting features, on it. I'll talk through some of those, but this unit came to me through when I purchased actually a small collection of receivers, and it was one of them. It was in that group. I actually sat it on the shelf for probably 2 years and really didn't do anything with it. And then one day I decided to take it down and give it a listen and see what was going on with it, check it out. So I did some basic checks. Saw that it should be okay to hook up some speakers, and then hooked them up. Kick back in a chair. I have an old office chair back there. It's that kind that low back, and when you lean back, you kind of feel like you might fall backwards, which you don't, but it has that sensation. So I tuned in a nice FM. It came in beautifully, and so there was a nice song on that I recall, and I was enjoying the song when all of a sudden it went from great sound to this crazy monster coming through the channel and very distortion, oriented, all these kind of things. Anyway, it happened so fast, I almost fell out of my chair. It pretty much scared me. But so I jumped up, turned it off, and sort of checked things again, making sure that I had connected everything okay. Turned it on again. This time I was ready. And sure enough, essentially after it warmed up, this distortion would kick in. So took it to my tech, he went through it, had transistors that were out of spec, and so we replaced those, and it plays beautifully now. So it's a nice little unit. It's just unique. There's some unique things. You'll see it does have an EQ for the two sets of speakers. You can do the EQ for the front and set the EQ for the back if you like. There is a nice what is one cool feature here. Now I only use it. I would only use it for 2-channel. That would be really the only time I would use it. However, on this model, it does have something called simulated 4-channel. So you can take a 2-channel signal and you can switch it into this mode, and it will simulate 4-channel. So that's kind of unique. Something that would be worth playing around with. If you have 4 speakers you'd like to hook up and give it a try. So something you're not going to be able to do on any other 2-channel stereo. So that's kind of cool. So that's pretty much it. I'll go from here into the to the close-ups, and then I'll come back and we'll go through the scoring, and then some discussion about some of the individual controls on here. So back to you shortly. All right, well, let's see, how does this rank? Let's go through the features and see how do the points add up. So we're going to start out with the watts. Well, it does produce 34 watts at 8 ohms. So for that, it gets 10 points. And it will get a bonus of 30 points because it can also handle 4 ohm loads. Kind of unique, so that's a good thing to have. On to phono, it does have one phono, only supports an cartridge. We'll get 10 points. For inputs, because of the 4-channel capability, it does have up to 5 inputs. So we'll get 50 points in total. Has balance control, 5 points. Has a loudness switch, that's another 5 points. Moving into tone controls. Now, it doesn't have separate tone controls, but what it does have is an EQ for each side, front and rear. So because of that, I ended up giving it 5 points each, because essentially that's more control than you'd get with just regular tone control. So I get 5 points each for those. And then on to AC plugs, it has 1 switched and 1 unswitched. So 10 points and 5 points respectively. On to speaker sets. It will handle 2 sets of speakers. However, I don't believe you can play them independently. At least that's the way I see it here. So I still gave it 10 points, even though you can play them two speakers, 1 set of speakers, or 2 sets of speakers. So I still gave it points for that. So in total, if you're keeping up, it is 160 points in total, which is about what I would expect for most middle-sized receivers. So that's the way it's scored. You know, as far as it's not one of these units that are highly collectible, highly sought after, but again, it's a vintage unit. I think it's kind of cool. It definitely doesn't look anything like most other receivers. Has some cool features that it has this 2-channel simulated 4-channel configuration, which I think would be really neat. There's not much in the way of 4-channel media, you know, out there that at least that I've run across, but you could certainly enjoy your 2-channel stereo media and simulate it as 4-channel. And that would be certainly something fun to do. And that's what this little unit would do. And so, you know, those kind of things make it stand out. I think it sounds good. Again, if you paired this with some efficient speakers, I think most people will be perfectly happy with this little guy. Not going to run, you know, very complex or very demanding speakers by any means, but with the right set of speakers, I think you'll be fine with this one. So that's a quick review of it. You know, thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed that. Something you don't see every day, of course. You want to keep up with new, you know, upcoming videos, hit subscribe, and want to be informed that they're out, hit that little bell for notifications. So that's it for this week. Thank you for tuning in.